Welcome everyone to this presentation, How Will AI Impact Auditing? And are you ready? I'm Mike Richmond, your host for Exemplar Global's online expo focused on career pathways. This session is presented by Willie Fabricius, who is a global head of strategy and business development for information security with SGS. Willie is a deeply experienced conformity assessment professional who is certified as lead auditor for standards including ISO 9001 and ISO 27001. In this session, Willie presents his perspective on what he calls the hot theme of the year, artificial intelligence. He offers some important insights into where AI is headed and how it will affect management system auditors of all kinds. And with that, take it away, Willie.
Hello. AI, artificial intelligence, the hot theme of the year. How will it impact auditing? And are you ready? My name is Willie Fabricius, and I'm the Global Head for Strategy and Business Development here at SGS. SGS is the world's largest test, inspection, and certification company, and we have in business for more than 100 years. We have 100,000 people and 2,600 locations and laboratories. And I personally have been in the auditing business for the last 30 years. And in that time, I had the privilege to work with many Fortune 100 companies and auditing their management systems on a global scales to a variety of ISO standards, namely ISO 9001 and ISO 27001, so information security. I also have the privilege to sit on a couple of ISO committees, namely ISO SC27, Subcommittee 27, and SC42, which are the ISO committees responsible for writing and publishing ISO standards related to information security, cybersecurity, privacy, as well as AI. And therefore, obviously, I had the insight, knowledge, or privilege to cooperate with some of the best people in the world with regard to management systems and auditing of those going forward. So one thing, or a couple of things related to AI that are definitely impacting our profession going forward. There will be something like smart compliance monitoring. What it really means is AI systems can automatically track compliance against ISO standards, regulatory requirements, or other standards that might be out there, and flagging potential non-conformances at the audit time or during the audit time. This in itself will provide auditors with a support, some kind of, let's say, a digital partner that supports the auditors while auditing. Furthermore, AI systems will support the collection and verification of evidence, and intelligent document and record analysis will rapidly locate and verify and cross-reference audit evidence, and therefore reducing manual effort. Then there will be something like predictive non-conformance detection. And yes, I know it sounds like Minority Report, but at the end of the day, it's really not that complicated. Machine learning and AI systems can identify trends in operational data that indicate emerging risks and potential non-conformities. Then with regard to audit scope optimization, AI systems can and will analyze past audit results, incident reports, performance metrics, and therefore help to define, or should I say redefine, the audit focus based on areas of concerns, based on risk assessment, and making therefore the audits more effective and even efficient. Then there will be some kind of, very similar to what the previous topic was, there will be something like dynamic risk assessment. And in this case, a continuously AI-driven monitoring will allow the management system audits to evolve from a more static to a very periodic checks into an ongoing assurance process. Right now and in the past, auditors visited the organization every 6 months, every year, whatever was either the agreement with the client or required by the scheme. Well, going forward, this will be not really the case any longer, but instead, the audits will be ongoing and continuously. Furthermore, there will be help and support to the auditors with regard to automated gap analysis. Imagine a system that is ingesting vast amount of procedures, documents, and will then verify whether those documents and records are in compliance with the applicable standard requirements. And this can be easily seen to be working out quite well for ISO 9001, ISO 14001, 27001, 42001, to highlight potential gaps before the audit even begins. Then there will be something like natural language understanding of policies and procedures, because AI can read and interpret large volumes of procedural documents, contracts, and even training material to ensure alignment with management system requirements. And this natural language capabilities of AI also will help auditors with potential interpretation from one language to another, from one human language to another, to avoid misunderstandings in an audit, will help auditors with automatic language translation of their reports. It's quite obvious that going forward, the systems, the AI systems will constantly monitor, or should I say, listen to the conversation the auditors have with their clients. And then at the end of the audit, the system will semi-automatically create at least a draft version of the report. The auditor will go over it and finalize it. And then the auditor will say, and by the way, translate it into whatever language. And then the client is getting, well, potentially multiple reports in multiple languages, which have been automatically translated by AI systems. But those AI systems also will help with cross-site and supplier audit integration. So imagine multi-site locations where potentially auditors, an audit team of multiple auditors is active, and then cross-referencing what those people found or what those auditors found, and make sure that it's really integrated into one assessment report. AI systems also will help with real-time KPIs and dashboard recording, and allow for monitoring of progress of the audit program in itself, but also provide ongoing evidence and support of closure of non-conformances, so that from an auditing point of view, it's very clear there was some kind of an issue, the organization is taking care of it with some kind of corrective actions, the effectiveness of those corrective actions is being reviewed and verified and closed in a timely manner. One can easily see that this can be supported and will be supported by AI-driven systems. And then there is the issue of checklists. Auditors love and hate checklists. While on one hand, they are a nuisance and a necessary evil, they are also seen in many cases as something very positive, because they ensure a systematic review of requirements. But on a regular basis, those checklists are so generic that half of the questions are not applicable to a particular situation. Why would an auditor ask those questions that are not applicable? And we can easily see that depending upon answers received from the client, these checklists are automatically changing the kind of questions that need to be asked. So these adaptive or dynamic audit checklists will definitely support auditors, but also the effectiveness of audits, and therefore at the end of the day, make an audit more enjoyable, easier to execute and follow through. So coming back to the smarter compliance monitoring, an AI can integrate with enterprise resource planning. So for example, the ERP system of the client, but also with the QMS, the quality management system documentation. And in this case, an AI system would constantly scan production logs and maintenance reports from the equipment the organization may have in their factories, in their facilities, and then daily detect deviations from documented processes. So for example, one can easily see that the process and the policies ask that a particular machine has a couple of joints, and these joints need to be verified for adequate lubrication once per day. Well, if it is really necessary to do that once per day, there should be some kind of evidence that it was done once per day. And an AI system can easily correlate the maintenance records, how often was it done, versus that procedure that says once per day. And if there is some kind of discrepancy between the two, of course, that could then be flagged as a possible area of concern so that the auditors can investigate. And these are just a couple of examples. Predictive nonconformance detection. Machine learning can identify patterns of operational data such as reoccurring minor deviations that are often preceding major audit findings. So for example, in a manufacturing context, AI might flag repetitive calibration delays for a specific machine, or should I say instrument, and see this as an early warning for potential product quality issues. So again, the policy, the procedure says that a particular instrument needs to be calibrated every 6 months, but for whatever reason, historic evidence demonstrates that this particular instrument has been only calibrated every 7 months. Well, that obviously means that the product that was manufactured in that period of time where the instrument was out of calibration might be subject, but that might be also not an issue because the later calibration demonstrated that the instrument was still within calibration. But nonetheless, there is now that risk that products produced and verified by this out of calibration instrument are subject. That in itself raises a flag. That in itself is a good starting point for investigating furthermore. So auditors, in very general terms, will benefit hugely and tremendously from the implementation of AI systems on both sides of the table. As an auditor, we will use AI systems, but also clients will use AI systems. And as auditors, we need to be prepared. We need to understand the limitations, but also the benefits and the risks of those AI systems. As with every technology, there are tremendous potentials for good and evil. And it's up to us individually as well as society to make sure that AI in the auditing world is used for the good. And this is an ongoing journey that will take many, many years to come. Thank you very much for listening. And if you have any questions, please reach out to me. On my LinkedIn profile, just look for Willy Fabricius at SGS and you will find me. Thank you very much and enjoy the rest of your day. Take care. Bye-bye.
Well, thank you again, Willy Fabricius, for that excellent look at that very important topic. If those of you who are watching this pre-recorded session have questions you'd like to address to Willy, just write us at info@exemplarglobal.org, as you can see right there on your screen, and we'll get your questions right over to Willy. And before we close this session, of course, we want to remind you that we have several other great presentations here at the Expo, so be sure to check them out. Be sure to claim your CPD for this session, as well as all the other sessions we have for you at this year's Expo, including the 2 live sessions that we'll be having later on in the event. So thanks again for joining.